Good afternoon, fellow viewers. Welcome back to Easy Mathematics. We thank God for another wonderful day. Today, we want to look at the next topic, which is also under standard form, but it is multiplication of numbers in standard form. In our previous video, we talked about addition and subtraction. Today, we want to look at multiplication of numbers in standard form. So when you look at the first example here, we have to multiply this standard number by this standard number. So we have here 3 times 10 raised to the power 4 times 4 times 10 raised to the power 6. When it comes to the multiplication of numbers in standard form, it says that group the numbers at one side and group the powers also at one side. So the numbers that I'm having here are 3 and 4. So we are to group this and this at one side and group this and this also at one side. That is the grouping of like things. So grouping this will give us 3 times 4 times 10 raised to the power 4 times 10 raised to the power 6. When you look at it, the sign here are all multiplication. So that is why it made the grouping easy. So we've grouped the numbers at one side and we've also grouped the powers of numbers also at another side. So what we are going to do now is to multiply. So we are going to multiply this times this and multiply this times this. Now 3 times 4 is going to give us 12 times, if you multiply 10 to the power 4 times 10 to the power 6. To multiply this, we are going to use the law of indices, which is the first law. It says that if you are multiplying and the bases are the same, add the powers. So the power here is 4 and the power here is 6. So I'm going to put the powers together, which is 4 plus 6. And 4 plus 6 is going to give us 10 raised to the power 10. When you look at this, 12 times 10 raised to the power 10, this 12 is not within the ranges we were told. Because we were told that in standard form, the numbers are within the ranges 1 to 9. So because 12 cannot be located here, we have to change this 12 in standard form. And in our previous video, we've also talked about how to change numbers in standard form. So to change 12 in standard form, we are going to move from this side because it is a whole number. So we are going to move 1. So we move 1 time. So this in standard form is going to give us 1.2 times 10 raised to the power the number of times that we moved. But this time we move once, so raised to the power 1 times 10 raised to the power 10, which is this one. So now the 12 here is what I've changed into standard form, which is 1.2 times 10 raised to the power 1. But because there is another times 10 raised to the power here, I'm just going to multiply this by this, using the law of indices. If the bases are the same, you are just going to add the powers. And the power here is 1, and the power here is 10. So putting these two together is going to give us 11. So our answer for the multiplication of this number is 1.2 times 10 raised to the power 11. 11 because the law says that if the base are the same, you are just going to add the power. So you pick 1, then you put the 2 together to get 11. So this becomes the answer. Now let's look at the second example, where we have this standard number by this standard number. So 9.3 times 10 raised to the power 6 times 2 times 10 raised to the power 6. We are multiplying, and these numbers are in standard form. And if you are multiplying the numbers in standard form, group numbers at one side and powers of numbers also at the other side. So to group this one, we are going to have 9.3 times 2. Then we group the powers also at other side. 10 raised to the power 6 times 10 raised to the power 6. Then you multiply the number by the number. Then here we multiply the power by the power, or we multiply the powers of numbers. Now this becomes multiplication of numbers, of decimals, sorry. This becomes multiplication of decimals. And also, we've talked about how to multiply decimals. We were told that if you are multiplying decimals, assume there is no point, or take off the decimal point. So if I take off the decimal point here, I'm going to get 93 times 2 for the first bracket. Assume there is no decimal point. So if I take off the decimal point, I'm going to get 93 times 2. Then I'll deal with the powers of numbers. I am multiplying. The bases are the same. So because the bases are the same, I am going to add the powers. And the power here is 6, and also 6 at the other one. So we are now going to multiply 93 times 2. And 93 times 2 is going to give us 186. After multiplying 93 by 2, we are going to get 186 times 10 raised to the power 6 plus 6. And 6 plus 6 is going to give us 12. Now this 186, if you will remember, the number was 9.3. But we took off the decimal point. So now we have to bring back the decimal point again, because it was decimal and we took off the point to be a whole number. But we are going to ask this question: how many numbers were after the decimal point? With this, we can see that the number after the decimal point is 1, which is the 3. So because after the decimal point, the number here is 1, we have to also make sure that with the final answer, one number should be after the decimal point, and therefore we are going to bring our point here. So this means that 9.3 times 2 will give us 18.6. So in terms of standard form, we are going to get 18.6 times 10 raised to the power 12. But this 18.6, it is not within the ranges 1 to 9. So therefore, something has to be done by changing the 18.6 into standard form. And to change 18.6 into standard form, because there is a decimal point here already, we will not come here. Therefore, we will start on the decimal point or from the decimal point. So we are going to move 1 time, because 1 can be found here. So this in standard form is going to give us 1.86 times 10 raised to the power 1. The power of 10 is positive because we move to our right. So in our previous video, we talked about how to change numbers into standard form and vice versa. So this number, which is 18.6, in standard form is 1.86 times 10 raised to the power 1. And 1 can be found within this range. So I'll just bring this one, which is times 10 raised to the power 12. Because we are multiplying a power times a power, or a number of power, we are going to obey or use the law of indices. The first law: if you are multiplying and the powers are the same, you add the bases are the same, you add the powers. So this is going to give me 1.86 times 10 raised to the power 1 plus 12. And putting the powers together, we are going to have 1.86 times 10 raised to the power 13 as your answer. So the solution for this numbers in standard form is 1.86 times 10 raised to the power 13. Let us look at the third one also. It is also multiplication. Just as I said, we are looking at multiplication. Then the next one will be on division. Now with this one, this is a standard number. You are coming to multiply it with another standard number. And because we are multiplying, in multiplication, we group the numbers, and we group the numbers at one side, then we group the powers of numbers also at the other side. So looking at this, the number that I'm having here is 5.2. And this one is 3. So let's group them. So this is going to give us 5.2 times 3 times, then you group the powers of numbers, which is 10 raised to the power 4 times 10 raised to the power, 10 raised to the power negative 4. That's the power here, times 10 raised to the power negative 2. So the same idea, we are going to multiply 5.2 times 3. Then we are going to also multiply 10 raised to the power 4 times 10 raised to the power negative 2. Negative 4, So now, the same idea for multiplying decimals. And next, the decimal point. That means take off or assume that there is no decimal point. So if we assume that there is no decimal point, we are going to get 52 times 3 into brackets times powers of numbers. If we are multiplying and the base are the same, or the bases are the same, add the powers. So this will give me 10 raised to the power negative 4 plus bracket of negative 2. Powers of numbers. In our previous, we talked about this with more examples. So visit using mathematics to make mathematics more easier and flexible for you. Thank you. Now let's do the multiplication here. Now remember that this is 5.2. And we've taken away the decimal point, giving us 52. So now multiply 52 times 3. If you multiply 52 times 3, you end up getting 615. We will be getting 156 if you multiply 52 times 3. And now this was not 52 from the question. From the question, it was 5.2. And we took off the decimal point. So this now is 5.2. So looking at this 5.2, how many numbers are after the decimal point? Or the numbers after the decimal point they are 1. Or it is 1. So because the number after the decimal point is 1, we have to also make sure that this our final answer should have only one number after the decimal point. So we are going to bring our point here, which will give us 15.6. So 5.2 times 3 will give us 15.6. Then we move on to the next one, times 10 raised to the power negative 4 plus negative 2. Negative 4. In our previous video, we were told that if a number is having negative and you are putting them together or you are subtracting, assume you are owing. So you owe 4 cedis. You owe another 2 cedis. And you have been asked to put them together to know the total amount you are owing. So putting them together, we are going to get negative 6. And this has been taught in integers in our previous video. So putting negative 4 and negative 2 together, we are going to get negative 6. Now this becomes our answer. But we can't stop or end here, because this number is not within the ranges we were told. That shows that a number is in a standard form. We were told that the ranges are from 1 to 9, or they are between 0 and 10. So because 15 cannot be found in that range, we have to change this 15.6 this into standard form by just lifting the decimal point to the side. So we did the movement once. So we had 1.56. The point was here, and we have moved the point to this side. And how many times did we move? Once. So this is going to give us times 10 raised to the power 1. Because we move to our right, the power of 10 will be positive. Then I have this one times 10 raised to the power negative 6. Then, because we are to multiply this and this, we just use the law of indices. Bases are the same, add the powers. So this will give me 1.56 times 10 raised to the power 1 plus bracket of negative 6. And we were told that anytime positive meets negative in an expression, it changes into negative. So this is going to give us negative because positive will multiply the negative. And positive times negative is negative. So we are going to get our final answer as 1.56 times 10 raised to the power 1 minus 6. You have 1. You owe 6. If I pay 1 out of the 6 I'm owing, I'll still owe 5. So this becomes negative 5 as our answer for this calculation. So anytime when it comes to multiplication of numbers in standard form, group your numbers at one side and group the powers of 10, then you perform the multiplication. Now let's look at this one, which says you have to simplify. Let's say we have 0.02. We have to simplify 0.02 times 0.58, leaving your answer in standard form. After multiplying, you said multiply it. When you multiply and get your answer, just leave it in a standard form. And this is multiplication of decimals. So let us look at how it can be done. So we have 0.02 times 0.58. Do the multiplication. Arrive at your answer. Then your final answer, you just change it into standard form. Now, since I am multiplying, I will assume that there is no decimal point. So if I take off the decimal point here, I'll be left with 2 because 002 is the same as 2. And this will give me times 0.58, which is the same as 58. So after multiplying 2 times 58, what is going to be your result? And 2 times 58 is going to give us 116. 8 plus 8 is 16, so we write 6, remainder 1. And 5 plus 5 is 10. Plus your remainder is going to give you 11, which is 116. Good. But the question was not 2 times 58. The question was 0.02 times 0.58. But we tried to make it easy by taking off the decimal point. So this answer that we had is not for this, but rather for this. So we are going to say 116. Now, look at the number that we were given from the question and ask yourself, how many numbers comes after the decimal point? With this, we have 2 numbers. With this, we also have 2 numbers. So 2 plus 2 is going to give us 4. So the numbers after the decimal point are 4. But we have 3 here. So it means we have to bring another one here, 0.0. So this number times this is going to give us this. But the question says that simplify this leaving your answer in standard form. So this answer that we've had by multiplying this, we are just going to change this into standard form. So we are going to say that 0.02 times 0.58 is equal to 0.0116. So this being your answer, you have been asked to leave it in standard form. So how can we therefore change this in standard form? And we've talked about how to change numbers like this into standard form by locating where the decimal point is. We can't move to this side because there are no numbers here. So therefore, we have to move to this side. Now 0 is not within the ranges 1 to 9. So we have to move 1. We have, now the point is here, we have 0, 0. 0 is not in that range. Then we move again, 1. Now we have 1 here, and 1 can be found in a range. So here we are going to get 1.16 times 10 raised to the power. How many times did we move? We moved 1, 2. So raised to the power 2. But because this time the movement was done to the right, because the movement was done this way to the right, is going to be negative 2. But if the movement was done to the left, just like this one, when it was done to the left, we had a positive. If this one is done to the right, then it's going to be negative. So the answer for this in standard form is going to be 1.16 times 10 raised to the power negative 2. Fellow viewers, thank you for staying tuned. God bless you very much. Please don't forget to hit the subscription button for you to be notified anytime we release a video. See you, God willing, next week Friday, or probably this Friday, on division of numbers in standard form. God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye.